Hey, what is up, guys? It is dusk. Today I got 5 cards for you from Clash of the Duel Masters. All of them are actually quite useful in their own right. The first one being a Mono Nature card, Slumbering Titan. A level 6, 6000 Double Breaker Colossus. Standard level 6, really, but check out this effect. Wake the Mountain. If an opponent's spell or ability would cause you to discard this creature, you may put it into the battle zone instead. Okay, I will admit, this effect is super situational. Like, there's not really any real... unless they're going... A discard's going to have a rise in usage with Clash of the Duel Masters, I really don't see this being mainstreamed unless your locals is filled with blurple players. Because a good chunk of them are going to have a bunch of discard effects. And well, if you play nature like me, joke's finally on them. Let's see them turn to Spectre Claw this. Moving on to some Multiciv creatures. Haunted Mech, a level 4 vanilla with 5000 power with the Darkness Fire civilization pairing, and the races of Spectre and Stomper. Neither one is particularly supported as of yet, but hey, we might get some change in that with the other cards we get in the set. Moving on. Here's one I know you guys have wanted to see for a while. Galzak of Shadow Pass. The Shadow Champion / Armored Dragon we all heard about when we saw the picture for Sky Crusher's deck. He is a level 7 double breaker with 6000 plus power. Like I said already, Shadow Champion / Armored Dragon. His rarity being a 4-star is kind of irrelevant since you can get him just by getting the starter deck, which kind of worries me when you hear about this effect, since it's that easy to get him. Vampiric Bite. Whenever this creature attacks, target enemy creature gets minus 3000 power until the end of the turn, and this creature gets plus 3000 power until the end of the turn. A creature that has power 0 or less is banished. So, with this effect, we're getting a couple things to comment on straight off the bat. First off, wow. We are actually getting the 0 power mechanic the same time we get the Multiciv mechanic. I'm not 100% sure if I mentioned this in a previous video or not, but back in the original Duel Masters, there were a lot of creatures involving a 0 power mechanic, and from my understanding, if one of these things, if any creatures had 0 power, yes, just like this effect states, they would simply be banished. I guess power is relevant to mana, and if you don't got any mana, you can't stay in the battle zone. Poof. So there are 2 ways you can use this effect to your advantage. I mean, naturally, whenever he's attacking, it's 9000 power. If you can find a way to untap him by the end of the turn, then he can attack again for 12,000 power. Bloody nuts. But let's focus on that minus 3000 part. 1, if the enemy has a creature with blocker or some other effect you don't like that is power 3000 or less, boom, you banish it just by attacking with this guy. The other thing to point out about him is that, oh, I actually forgot to mention, naturally you can weaken a creature that you can have, to the point that another one of your creatures can take it off the board. But that didn't need to be, that could have probably gone without saying. It should be noted that even though you may pick, say, a blocker to reduce by 3000 power, the opponent still doesn't have to block with that blocker. If they only had one blocker, then yeah, you may have easily just guaranteed a double break by doing this. But yeah, that may come into play if the opponent has multiple Grangers. Moving on to our first ever Shield Blast, or for that matter, spell revealed for Multiciv cards. Fight! A Fire Nature Shield Blast spell at level 4. What this spell does is it allows you to choose one of your creatures. It battles target enemy creature. Please note, that is not an attack declaration, so you do not need the creature to be untapped. It's just an instant battle. So as a Shield Blast, if your opponent has something you don't like on the board, or let's say you're playing a Fire Nature Darkness deck and have a couple Skull Cutters around, you can make them fight a Skull Cutter. Any one creature of theirs, fight a Skull Cutter, and get rid of it. Of course, another way to use this, well, two ways. The first one, much more likely to happen due to the level 4 mana, is if your opponent has a really annoying support card, by which I mean like the birds with their Dragon Song ability that gets annoying when you stack them up, and they're keeping it untapped to stop you from getting rid of it. It's not safe anymore. This allows you to fight it without, one, without it even being tapped, and two, without even tapping your own creature to do it. And they can't block that because it's not an attack. Now the other part, the other way you can use this card is kind of iffy because this here requires 4 mana and then you have to topple on something else. But let's say you bring out a big guy on one turn, I don't know, something like Flame Spike Tatsura. Yeah, let's just say I have 10 mana. Keep in mind, that's a lot of mana to make this work. But yeah, 10 mana. I tap 6 of them to bring out Flame Spike Tatsurion. Or actually, no, that's a horrible example because he's an evolution creature. Let's pick something more... Let's say I have, I don't know, 13 mana. Yeah, tap 9 of them to bring out, I don't know, Infernus the Awakened. Now tap 4 of them to play this card and make a creature battle Infernus the Awakened on his Summoning Sickness turn. How broken would that be? Now, granted, you may not see that happen a lot, but the option is there. Once the KMCs start, keep an eye out for that combo. If the opportunity presents itself, people will take advantage of that. Moving on to a super rare and the last card I'm covering today. Oh wow, I'm gonna bust a vocal cord trying to say this. Squillis Scourge. Our Duel Civ super rare for the Water Darkness pairing. Blurple fans, here you go. He's a level 9 double breaker with 8,000 power, sporting the races of Leviathan and Chimera. And honestly, this has got to be the goofiest looking Chimera I've seen, and that's even comparing it to Squeaky. His effects are kind of two-faced. The first one makes you not really want to play this card at all until he's the last thing, or second to last thing in your hand. Mind Crush. When this creature enters the battle zone, each player discards his or her hand. That right there is a huge double-edged sword, especially if you're playing Water and Darkness, because you know that's a control deck. You know they're trying to build up a big hand for a big move at the finish. And I would hate to be that blurple player who plays a bottle at its appropriate turn 5 and gets this. That would really suck. His other effect is Tempest of Tentacles. When this creature enters the battle zone, your opponent can't attack or block with creatures until the start of your next turn. I mean, that's pretty good. That's Iceal on steroids right there. They can't attack whether they're tapped or not. They can't block whether they're tapped or not, and you didn't even have to evolve to make this happen. You just had to rack up 9 mana. So yeah, that's going to see play, because that is a huge control move. Even without the Summoning Sickness, that effect alone is a game finisher. If you've already racked up an army, it doesn't even matter that you wasted your whole hand bringing this thing out. You've got it. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you liked them. Like, subscribe, comment, check out my other videos. If you want to talk Kaijudo or duel with me online sometime, hit me up on Skype. I would like to practice more on over the webcam. My Skype is same as the channel, Downtown Dusk, using the same profile picture. Of course, if you just want to talk Kaijudo with me and do not have access to Skype, by all means, PM me. As I said, that's all I got for you guys. I will see you later. Peace.